Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Srinivas Govinda Jaya Srinivas Govinda Srinivas Govinda Jaya Srinivas Govinda Jaya Prahlad Narsimha Jaya Prahlad Narsimha Prahlad Narsimha Jaya Prahlad Narsimha Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jai Mishnapat Paramahansa Parivrajakacharyashthottara Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Mishnapat Paramahansa Parivrajakacharyashthottara Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Krishna Balaram Ki Jai Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanasalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namavo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Deenataranam. So today we are discussing about the third verse of the Sikshastaka. So everybody remembers the third verse of the Sikshastaka? Anybody wants to recite? Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtanaya Sada Harihi. So the background for this verse we have to first understand. If you look at the Sikshastaka, the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, actually if we look at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life, he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. And he came to mainly for two purposes. He came to deliver the holy name of Krishna and to give Krishna Prema. So these were the two treasures which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brought with him. Chiradadattam Nijagupta Vittam. So Chiradadattam, it was never before given out. This treasure which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brought with him. Chiradadattam Nijagupta Vittam. So it was Nija Vittam, it was the personal treasure of Krishna. And it was Gupta. It is a very confidential treasure of Krishna. Nobody knows about this. Until Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, nobody knew about Krishna's actual position being the avatari, not an avatara. And the sweetness of the love of Krishna, Krishna Prema, the Madhurya of Krishna Prema was also not revealed. Great Acharyas had come before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. Shankaracharya was there, Ramanujacharya was there, Madhvacharya was there, so many Acharyas. Apart from that, we have Nimbarka Swami and the Rudra Swami and all those sampradayas. And in those sampradayas, there were other great Acharyas also who came. But nobody revealed about this personal treasure of Krishna, which is very, very confidential. So to give that, Krishna himself came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the Supreme Lord, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, came to give that personal treasure, which is his holy name, Swaprema, Swanama, his holy name and love for himself. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came for this. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if we look at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life and his pastimes, he was the greatest scholar of his time. We all have heard about so many of his pastimes during his youth, when he defeated Keshava Kashmiri and all those kind of people. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after he took sannyas, how he conversed with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was the chief priest in the king's royal assembly. And he had taught many sannyasis about Vedanta. Although he was himself a Grahastha, but many sannyasis had learnt Vedanta under Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Such a great scholar he was. He was defeated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, and then Prakashananda Saraswati in Kashi. Kashi was the stronghold, it was the god of Advaita Vedanta. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very easily defeated Prakashananda Saraswati also. So like this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a great scholar. He was the greatest. Of course, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nobody can surpass his intelligence and knowledge. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he recruited into his what kind of people. If you look at the Goswamis, Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami, they were ministers And Raghunatha Goswami, he was practically the opulence of his father and his uncle was like that of Indra. I mean, every year their earning was something like 12 lakh gold coins. Huge. It's incredible. Even today, if you say 12 lakh gold coins, it's incredible. So those kind of, the society's top rung people, Ramananda Raya, the governor of a whole kingdom, he was recruited by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. King Prataparudra, the king himself. So all such great scholars, people of high repute, were all recruited by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu into his mission. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu educated all of them in the science of Krishna consciousness. And then, based on the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Goswamis, the 6 Goswamis, they wrote such vast literature, especially Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. Such huge literature they have given. And based on the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami. Personally, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed them. We all know about the Dashashvamedha Ghat and Prayag and all there. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leelas. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught them, and they in turn wrote all the wonderful literature. And these literature actually establish very scientific, in a very scientific manner, the basis of Krishna consciousness. Generally, when we speak of bhakti, people think it is all sentiment and anybody can practice bhakti. There is, something you have in your heart, in whatever way you want to express it to the Supreme Lord. You have bhakti for Shiva, that is also okay. The bhakti for Ganesha, that's also okay. Bhakti for Sai Baba is also okay. Bhakti for your own family is also okay. Everything is okay. So what is really bhakti? What is the definition of bhakti? And what are the qualifications to practice bhakti? What are the results of practicing bhakti? These are all really deep, very profound subject matter which nobody practically knew. But the Goswamis wrote such wonderful literature, and they delineated in a very analytical way, in a very logical way. They have explained all these things. Whether you take Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Hari Bhakti Vilas, you take Brihad Bhagavatamrita, the innumerable literature that the Goswamis have written, they all explain the science of Krishna consciousness. Interestingly, although the Goswamis wrote so much literature, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never wrote anything, except for the Sikshastaka. So the Sikshastaka of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is actually a condensed form of presenting the entire science of Krishna consciousness. So in the Sikshastaka, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if you look at it, he begins at the very, when somebody starts Krishna consciousness, what is the effect? From there Chaitanya Mahaprabhu takes, and by the time he goes to the 8th verse, the 8th verse is reaching the pinnacle of bhakti. And on the stage of Ananya Bhakti, on the stage of Krishna Prema. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu begins with, when a person first takes up Krishna consciousness, what happens? So he says, Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. All glory is to the Sankirtana Yajna of Lord Krishna. Because when we engage in Krishna Sankirtana, what happens? The fire of the material existence gets vanquished. It gets doused. So when we engage in Krishna Sankirtana, first thing that happens is the fire of material existence, which is burning constantly in our heart, our struggle for existence in the material world, that gets extinguished. So this is the first effect. For a beginner, this is how Krishna consciousness has its effect. It starts with liberating you from the struggle for material existence. And then in the 2nd verse, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu talks about the holy name of Krishna, Namna Makari Bahuda Nidya Sarva Shakti. The holy name of Krishna is not like other names of other demigods and other material nomenclature. So it is Sarva Shakti, all the potencies and energies of Krishna are present in his holy name. We all know that even in the Puranas and Shastras it says, Nama Chintamani, it says, what is that verse? Abhinatvan Nama Naminoho. Nama Chaitanya, what is that? Nama Chintamani Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. So Krishna's holy name is Rasa Vigraha. It is full of rasa of Krishna Prema. And Nama Chintamani, it is a Chintamani. Anybody comes in touch with the holy name of Krishna, his heart has to undergo transformation. His heart has to, it has to get relief from that unstoppable pursuit of material pleasure, material sense gratification. That has to diminish when one comes in touch with Krishna's holy name, which is actually, if we look at it, it is for the heart to stop its pursuit of sense gratification is not an ordinary thing. Even great yogis, even they cannot become free from this. We look at Vishwamitra Muni, Saubhari Muni. Saubhari Muni meditated for some 60,000 years. Vishwamitra Muni meditated for some 40,000 years. After all that, what happened? They got again entangled in sense gratification. So even great yogis, great jnanis, they cannot become free from this after thousands of years of tapasya and meditation and all that. And Krishna's holy name is such that anybody comes in touch with it, immediately Chintamani, it will transform the heart. So the holy name is all-powerful. So when we speak of the all-powerful holy name of Krishna, naturally there is a lot of reverence associated with it. And we think, oh, holy name of Krishna is so powerful. How can I chant the holy name? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says there is no rule or regulation required to chant the holy names of Krishna. Wherever you are, whatever you are, in whatever situation you are in, you can chant Krishna's holy name. Namna makari bahuda nija sarvis saktis tatrarpita niyamita smaranena kalaha. Niyamita, there is no niyama, there is no kala to be taken care of. Anyone can chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra anywhere at any point of time. Because all the different mantras in the Vedic scriptures, they have all various rules associated with them. And if you don't follow those rules, the mantras will not give the desired result. Like nowadays, it has become a fashion to chant Gayatri Mantra. So everybody plays a tape of Gayatri Mantra and they keep chanting. I chant Gayatri Mantra. Gayatri Mantra, if you have to chant, first of all, you should have received it from a bona fide guru. Number two, you have to chant it only your mind. You cannot chant loudly. Number three, it has to be chanted during the 3 Sandhya. And each time when you chant, you should have taken bath. So all these things, if you don't follow all these rules, the Gayatri Mantra will not give its benefit. So all the mantras like this, they have various rules. Each mantra has some rule or regulation associated with that. But to chant the Hare Krishna mantra, to chant the holy names of Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says there is no rule to be followed. You just have to chant Hare Krishna, that's all. And now, okay, I am ready to chant. I am ready to take the benefit of the holy name and extinguish the fire of material existence within my heart. So, how do I do it? So, for that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari. The qualification to chant Krishna's holy name, number one is Trinadapi Sunichena. One has to be low, one has to consider oneself lower than a blade of grass. Trina means grass. So what is the characteristic of grass? We would have seen, many places we go for some picnic. And I remember last year we had gone to, what was that place where we went to? Some place we went to. So some park, we went there and there was a nice lawn, we all spread out there, we sat there, we did kirtan, all those kind of things. And then we had prasadam also and we came away. So that so many people, and we are not the only people going there, right? So many people go there and they all go, they will sit there on the grass, they will they will go and they will play on the lawn and all those kind of stuff. So, in spite of so many people coming and trampling on the grass, does the grass ever complain? What is this? Everybody is coming and stamping on my head. Never complains. On the other hand, what does the grass do? Anybody keeps his foot, immediately it will bend down. And the moment the person lifts his leg, slowly it will come back again. Never complains, never opposes. No matter how much you may trample upon that, the grass will never complain, it will never oppose. So, Trinadapi Shunichena Taroriva Sahishnuna. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says another example of tolerance. One is you're considering yourself so low that you are not affected by anybody's criticism or anybody's insult. In this material world, for everybody, self-esteem is the most important thing. People are ready to die for their honor. Honor, respect, self-esteem, these are considered very highly valued in material society. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying the opposite. Give up all these things. Give up your material prestige. You are thinking of, I am a big man, I am this, I am that. You have to forget all that. If you are on that platform thinking, I am a very intelligent man, I am a very capable person, I am a very powerful person, I am a very rich person, I am a very intelligent person. If you have all these considerations, then you are not qualified to chant Hare Krishna. So, first of all, we have to give up our false prestige. This is the first qualification. Second qualification is the qualification of tolerance. Taroriva Sahishnuna. So, when some infrastructure project has to happen, some road has to be made, some dam has to be built, some railway line has to be laid, what happens? First, the government, what they will do is they will do a survey of what are all the trees on the way. And they will go and mark it and cut it out. So, the tree, it provides shade to everyone who comes and stands underneath it. So, when it is very sunny, we go and stand underneath the shade of the tree, we feel great relief. And after some time, that same tree we go and cut. The tree will not object, it will tolerate. We want to pluck the fruits of the tree will not object, it will tolerate. You want to cut its branches, trim the branches, the tree will tolerate. So, even at the risk of personal harm, the tree tolerates whatever in whatever way we exploit the tree. So, we may use the tree, we may abuse the tree, but the tree tolerates everything. So, this quality of tolerance is very, very essential to chant Krishna's holy name. Otherwise, what happens is, somebody comes and pronounces our name wrongly. Immediately, hey, what is this fellow? He's making fun of me. What does he think of himself? I'll show him. Poor fellow may not have done it consciously. But you see, even a slight thing we get so much offended. It becomes such a big thing for us. And so, I remember once here in the US, we were going somewhere, and another devotee was driving the car. I was sitting next to him. And we came to a traffic light and we stopped. And then the devotee realized that that's not the lane he's supposed to be. He was supposed to switch over to the other lane. So slowly he started the car and just turned it, and then he looked into the rear view mirror. Some car was coming, so he stopped. That car fellow came, pulled up, lowered his mirror, and choice abuses. I cannot even use the words he used. And then rolled up his window and went. What happened? Nothing happened. But the guy got offended. Oh, how this man can come into that lane? So tolerance is, there is very little tolerance in this material world to even the slightest of offenses. But if we have to chant Hare Krishna, we should be ready to tolerate all kinds of insults and whatever people may say about us, because when we start chanting Hare Krishna, this is one thing you will see. I remember when I was working outside, and I had not yet joined the temple, I started practicing Krishna consciousness. So on weekends I would wear tilak, and then I would chant and all that. And people in the office knew that this man is, he's a little religiously inclined. So they would all make fun that what is wrong with this fellow? And there is a party, annual party of the company. Everybody is drinking, smoking. I'm the only guy sitting with one glass of some fruit juice. And hey, what is wrong with you, man? One day party, what is there, Everybody is like, this guy has gone off his head. He is just 24 years old and he has become like a sannyasi. What is this? So there will be, and not only people at the office. You look at friends, you look at relatives, they will all make fun of you, and some friends will also start distancing themselves. This guy better not, I don't want to be seen as this guy's friend. So the moment you start taking up Krishna consciousness, first thing your known people and all will come and ask, what happened? What went wrong? Nothing is wrong. I'm happy. No, something must have happened, no? Otherwise, why you are putting tilak, why you are chanting, why you are wearing kantima and all these things. So the world, looks down upon all these things. Somebody was telling in the US, he was some devotee, he was wearing tilak and going somewhere in the aircraft or something, he was sitting. So the guy next to him, he was probably an American. He looked at him and said, hey, why have you painted your nose? So you have to face all these things. So we cannot have any inhibition. Oh, what will people think? What will people say? Oh, if I have chanting bag in my hand, what will people say? What will people say if they see my tilak, if they see my kantimala? So we have to be tolerant. Even if people make fun of us, they look down upon us, and they criticize us, all these things if they do also, still we have to be tolerant. So Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnuna. And why is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying this? Over and above this, Amanina Manadena. So it is not just an external expression of humility and of tolerance. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's definition of humility itself is wonderful. He says, humility means Amanina Manadena. Generally, when we see somebody who is always like this and, oh, Prabhu, 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 falling at your feet every time, who is so humble. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's definition of humility is not that. It's not externals, it is internal. And what is that? Amanina Manadena. Manadena, you should be ready to give all respect to others. Even if the opposite party is not respecting you, you should be ready to offer respect to others. That also we can do. We'll somehow, this fellow, what to do? I have to be Manadena. Okay, offer him respect. You can do that. Somehow you can force yourself to be Manadena. But Amanina, this is the real, true humility. What is that? You should never expect respect for yourself. So generally, whenever we go, wherever we go, we expect that I should be received like this, I should be spoken to like this. At least this much, some greeting should be there. This man did not even say good morning. What is this? Such a rude fellow. Amanina means we don't expect any respect for ourselves. You look at Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who has written the Chaitanya Charitamrita, he was a fantastic Sanskrit scholar. How did he get the name Kaviraj? Krishnadas was his name. He was given the name Kavi Raja. He is the king of poets. Why? Because he wrote the Govinda Leelamrita. Govinda Leelamrita is a book written by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, which has about 2,500 verses, all in wonderful Sanskrit. Even Chaitanya Charitamrita also, you see, although it is largely in Bengali, every chapter he begins with a Sanskrit verse glorifying Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we just compiled, all the list of all the Sanskrit verses he has compiled glorifying. He has written those verses. So about 75 verses are there which he has in Chaitanya Charitamrita, where he has written, which he has composed glorifying Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All wonderful verses. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was such a great scholar, such a great Pandit, and he wrote the Chaitanya Charitamrita, such a wonderful literature, Govinda Leelamrita, again, such an exalted literature that all the scholars of that time, They gave him the title Kaviraja. Oh, you are a king of poets. Nobody can write like you do. So they gave him the title of Kaviraja. And still that Krishnadas Kaviraja Goswami, what does he think about himself? Purishera Kita Hoite. He says, I am lower than the worm in the stool. It's not a simple expression, outwardly expression. He is believing that he is more fallen than that. So that is the real standard of humility. So in such a mood of humility where we are never expecting any respect for others, which is actually very difficult to practice. You see, even when we become devotees and we starting practicing Krishna consciousness and all that, what happens is, to a large extent, we give up our false prestige and all that. But when we come in the assembly of devotees also, somebody comes and tells, Prabhu, today your kirtan was so nice. So nicely you sang. You are the person who has really understood me. Somebody comes and tells, Prabhu, your class, so fantastic. Yeah, I am so intelligent, I am so capable. Yeah, so the kind of gratification we receive even in Krishna conscious society, that somebody comes and praises, or somebody comes and tells something. Prabhu, everything is good, but your some little bit kirtan is not so good. So this fellow does not understand how to appreciate kirtan. He doesn't have bhakti. Prabhupada says it's not a musical performance. All philosophy will come and logical rationalization will come. So so it's very difficult to digest when proper respect is not given to us. And when somebody gives us respect, to consume that respect is very easy. Yes, I am really qualified to receive. I am actually worthy of this praise. That's the kind of disposition we have. That's the kind of approach we have towards whenever somebody praises us or criticizes us. But reality is what? If we have to really take the benefit of chanting Hare Krishna, we should be ready to accept. Anybody comes and criticizes, internally we have to realize that actually this devotee is being so nice to me. I am more fallen than this, but he is praising me, and even if he is criticizing, he is doing it in such a nice way. He is showing me a mirror to myself. So this kind of approach, this kind of attitude is essential to be able to kirtaniya sada harihi, to be able to constantly chant Krishna's holy name. So Srila Prabhupada knows what level we are all in. Therefore he said, don't try to imitate Haridas Thakur and chant whole day. He said, chant only 16 rounds. Why? Because if we are not on the platform of Amanina, Manadena and all that, and Trinadapi Sunichena, Tarorapi Sahishnana, to be able to do Kirtaniya Sadahari. So at our level, whatever level of tolerance and humility we have, chant 16 malas. That's what is possible for you. So that is how we have to understand that we cannot imitate these great personalities like Haridas Thakur, because Haridas Thakur was such an exalted devotee, but he never thought of himself like that. He always considered, I am a fallen person, I am a sinful person, born in a Muslim family, I have no qualification, all this. He used to be in such humility, and therefore he was able to chant 22 out of 24 hours, 192 rounds of Hare Krishna mantra he used to chant every day. 3 lakh holy names. So first of all, the qualification we have to understand to chant Hare Krishna is, we have to develop our humility and tolerance. And we have to give up our constant anticipation and expectation to be respected by others. Now, this is one way of looking at this verse. The other way of looking at this verse is, if we constantly do Hari Kirtana, Kirtaniya Sada Hari, if we are doing Sada Kirtana of Hari, if we are constantly chanting Krishna's holy name, then the result will be that we will become Trinadapi Shunichena, Tarorapi Sahishnuna, and our heart will become cleansed of all these material desires to be respected and to be glorified. So we will come to the stage of Amanina, Manadena by chanting Hare Krishna. It is both ways. To chant Hare Krishna, this is the qualification needed. And that qualification, how will we get? So if we think, oh, I'm not so humble, I'm, still so much desire for respect and puja, pratishtha, all this is there in my heart, so I cannot chant Hare Krishna. No. You chant Hare Krishna, that qualification will come. See how wonderful the holy name is. So we are unqualified to chant the holy name. Still by chanting the holy name will give us the qualification. This is the beauty of Krishna consciousness. So therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that Kirtaniya Sada Hari, we should constantly chant Hare Krishna, and that will bring that humility in us. So a devotee always has to consciously assess himself, because the standard of humility that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given is not something which we can assess of a person by his external appearance alone. So this is a parameter which we have to check our own heart. Every day we have to check our heart. At the end of the day, today what all happened? What were the events where I was affected by somebody's criticism or somebody's lack of respect for me? And did I get carried away by somebody's praise? So, and if these things are still going on in our heart, we have to depend more and more on the holy name so that we can become free from these. And if we are chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra properly by focusing on hearing and providing our full attention while chanting, humility will automatically come. Humility is not something which can be purchased in the market. It has to be developed internally. And that humility comes by rendering devotional service. And that is how in Srila Prabhupada, he made it a practice that in our institution, we call each other as Prabhu. We look upon each other as Prabhu. So we may call, so-and-so Prabhu, but if in my mind, he is my assistant, he is my servant, that's not a good thing. So we call Prabhu also externally, and internally also we should have that feeling that whatever we do, this is my service to this devotee, to this Vaishnava. And Prabhupada also taught us how we have to be in our dealings with all our God brothers and in all our dealings, so that we can develop that sense of humility. So devotional service is wonderful that way. It gives us an opportunity to develop all these wonderful qualities, and these qualities are actually worshipped even by devatas, even demigods. If somebody possesses these qualities, even demigods will start worshipping them. That is how great personalities like Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj, even when he was a child, baby within the womb of his mother, Kayadu, that time when Indra and others heard that from Narada Muni that he is a Mahabhagavata, so they said, oh, Mahabhagavata. They started doing parikrama for Kayadu, saying that, oh, in her womb, great Mahabhagavata is there. So they folded their hands, did parikrama, and they offered their respects to the mother. So you can imagine unborn child, even to him, they are so respectful. So these qualities are, they are the jewels on the crown of a Vaishnava. So we have to take these instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada's own, I think I'm exceeding the time, but I will stop with a small anecdote from Prabhupada's life. So we had gone to West Virginia, New Vrindavan. Last year we had gone, some devotees from New Jersey, we had all gone there. And we met one devotee there. I think his name was Sankirtan Das or something like that, and pre-77 disciple of Srila Prabhupada. So we were talking to him about New Vrindavan and all that, and he narrated this. So I think it was 1975, or I don't remember the exact year. Prabhupada came to New Vrindavan to give his lectures on the Bhagavata Dharma. They are famous as the Bhagavata Dharma discourses. I think about 10 days or something like that, Prabhupada gave those lectures. So at that time, devotees had done a lot of propaganda and tried to invite a lot of people, and many people came to attend those discourses. So there were devotees were also there, some newcomers were also there. So they all came and Prabhupada was talking and they were all listening to the discourse and all that. And then Prabhupada was talking about Varnashrama Dharma. Prabhupada was talking about Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, how Brahmana is the topmost of the society and all that. So after Prabhupada gave the class, one of the guys, he was a new person, he stood up and asked Prabhupada, so which class do you belong to? Which Varna do you belong to? Heavily loaded question. Because if Prabhupada says, I am the Brahmana, then, this one he is. He thinks himself the topmost of the class. So Prabhupada paused for a moment. Then Prabhupada said, I don't belong to any of these classes. I am the servant of all the classes. You can imagine Acharya of the world, Jagat Guru, Uttamadikari, Mahabhagavata, the commander-in-chief of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, not an ordinary personality, descended from the spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavan. And he considers, I am not even a Shudra, I am a servant of all of them. So this is the real humility. And Srila Prabhupada displayed this all through. He always remained humble. Prabhupada put Krishna in the center of the organization. He never put himself in the center. Today, everybody, when they talk of ISKCON, they say, oh, ISKCON, we know, ISKCON is a Krishna temple. But you talk about Prabhupada, hardly anybody knows. Because Prabhupada never put himself in the front. Another instance, anyway, we have exceeded the time. So another 2 minutes I'll take. So you should all excuse me for that. This is even more, this one. Prabhupada was, had the Bhagavad Gita of Prabhupada was getting printed. And we know how the Macmillan printed the first edition. And then ISKCON Press started printing its own because the costs were going too high. So when ISKCON Press was printing, Haigriva was the editor. We all know about that, how he was the editor and he and Jayadvaita Maharaj were the editors. And when they started printing the Bhagavad Gita, Haigriva went and told all the printers at the ISKCON Press, all the devotees, this says Bhagavad Gita, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Below that you add 2 more lines and you say, and Haigriva Dasa. He wanted his name on the Bhagavad Gita. So what was the natural response? The devotee said, get lost, what are you saying? How will we put your name? This is Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. You only edited. For that you want to put your name on the Bhagavad Gita? Impossible. So he said, then I am leaving the organization, and he left and went. This news reached Prabhupada. And Prabhupada asked, why did Haigriva leave? So the devotees told Prabhupada like this, he wanted to put his name on the Bhagavad Gita. So you know what was Prabhupada's response? Prabhupada could have got angry. He could have said, what an arrogant fellow. What does he think of himself? Prabhupada said, if by putting his name, he would have stayed back, you could have put the name, no problem. Imagine that. What is Prabhupada's level? What is that Haigriva's level? And Prabhupada is saying, no problem, put his name. I am ready to share the credit. Prabhupada was never after credit. Prabhupada was never after honor, never after respect. So such a great Acharya, such a great Uttamadikari Vaishnava, you look at his humility. I mean, you cannot, there is no parallel you can draw. It's an embodiment of humility. There is no doubt about that. So I'll leave you with all these thoughts. I think now we will have the breakout sessions. Sorry for taking up 6 extra minutes. Please excuse me for that. So, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gauranga Mahaprabhu ki jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari. So somebody will explain what has to be done. Humility person.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for a really enlightening session. I didn't feel the time has already passed, so it was very immersing. So now, as Prabhu said, we will have a breakout session. So we will divide into 3 groups, 3 breakout sessions. As you are all familiar, usually we do that. And each group will be discussing one line each of this shloka. There are 4 lines. The first 3 lines, breakout session 1 will, group 1 will discuss the first line. Group 2 will discuss the second line. Group 3 will be discussing third line. And it's about for half an hour. So maybe 9:52. The idea is to go deeper into that line. You express your thoughts, your realizations, and also note down some of the scriptural examples of people who displayed that, as well as note down your doubts. Also appoint one presenter from your team so that at 9:52 they will come here and then present for about 5 minutes about all your takeaways, examples, and realizations, or even questions. So each group does that, 5 minutes each, and at the end Prabhu will take some reflections from that, clarify questions, and give his conclusions. You want to add anything? 9:50. Okay. So 9:50, so that we have time to finish. So 3 groups. So Vikram Prabhu, myself, and Sukadap, right? Yeah. So we'll 3 be leading each of these groups. So guiding sort of. So how do we do 1, 2, 3 kind of thing? Okay, so group 1 stays closer to the deities, group 2 stays closer to Prabhupada, so there is sufficient gap. And the third group will go to Damodar room. Okay, so can we start counting 1, 2, 3, coming back to 1, 2, 3 like that? And remember your numbers. Pratik. Yeah, you can join any team. Yeah, that's okay. Vidya Mataji. Panduputra done? 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 Everyone done? Okay, so all of you know your allocations and spaces, so you can all go and settle there.